Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the third episode. If you're a fan of this, watch that MMA edition. If you're a fan of watching UFC, One Championship, boxing, any type of martial art, or whether you even train, this video series would be a great opportunity for you guys who train and exercise to get into the world of watching animation and anime. So here are my recommendations. Or vice versa, if you're a fan of anime, you love watching anime, whether that be from Dragon Ball to the newer stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, maybe these recommendations and these shows can inspire you to get into training yourself. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first series recommendation goes to Tekken Bloodline. I'm a big Tekken fan. I am currently playing Tekken 8 on the PS5 right now. It's on in the back. I'm having so much fun with it. Tekken covers a plethora of different disciplines within its world and story. The world of Tekken, specifically the narrative itself, is very, very convoluted and complicated, I must say, but in short, it's basically martial arts and fighting mixed with family drama and family beef. Merge that together and you have Tekken, pretty much. The Netflix only exclusive series Tekken Bloodline pretty much captures and recaps the first 3 games in an 8-episode runtime. Tekken Bloodline pretty much follows a boy called Jin Kazama. He is a very talented and well-rounded fighter as a young kid. However, I guess minor spoilers, his mom, who is an extremely well-trained fighter, trained in the arts of Kazama Karate, she unfortunately dies to the hands of a South American Mayan fighting god. And in doing so, in her final, I guess, wishes and her final task for Jin, is for Jin to pretty much find and be trained by his granddad, Heihachi Mishima. Mishima is the founder of this billion-dollar company in Japan and the main sponsor for the King of the Iron Fist tournament, which is held annually, which holds all the best fighters in the world that clash and fight against each other. Heihachi Mishima is a bit of an arsehole, I can't lie. He's a typical like grumpy old man who pretty much is very, very selfish and like he has his own agenda, which is really there, but this is like Jin's only family left and he has to pretty much be trained by him. In doing so, he does get trained by him and he becomes this epic fighter. Jin's objective is to pretty much be trained and seek vengeance for the death of his mother, in short. So he gets trained by his granddad in the art of Mashima, in the Mishima art fighting style, which is extremely violent compared to his mother's side of the family. It's a lot more brutal, a lot more intense, a lot more heavy in its discipline. And in doing so, as the years go by and Jin gets stronger and stronger in his own craft and fighting, he enters the King of the Iron Fist tournament, where he meets a plethora of different characters which we have seen in the games. So it's pretty much just a fun origin story for Jin, I can't lie. The animation itself is a unique one. It kind of it goes alongside the likes something like Kengan Ashura or the latest Dragon Ball Z superhero movie where it's like CG, a mix of like 2D and 3D animation. This series particularly does it very, very well. I think it's very, very smooth. There are a couple times where it does feel like I'm watching like a video game cutscene, but that's very, very few and far in between. Again, like as a Tekken fan, it's worth a watch. If you want to get into Tekken, this is probably the best way to get into it in this modern age, just because there's so many games right now. So yeah, the next anime on this list is a shonen classic. It is one of the big 3 of Shonen Jump during the 2000s of its anime and manga run. Which is Naruto, created by legendary Masashi Kishimoto. It's set in a world of ninja and rivaling ninja clans and rivaling ninja nations. Follow a boy called Naruto Uzumaki, who's like this outcast kid, mainly because he was born with like a demon inside of him, which caused a lot of destruction before he was born. So he's pretty much shunned, sadly, outside of the village that he lives in, and in doing so, it's pretty much his goal to become Hokage, the #1 ninja in the village, in the city, basically. Naruto is pretty much the perfect archetype for an underdog story. If you're a fan of underdog stories, this is your go-to. And since this is an MMA recommendation, we are getting a lot of fights. Every character has their own specific fighting style, which is really, really cool. The series covers the arts of ninjutsu. It's an exaggeration of many other art discipline forms in the world of MMA, so we get a lot of Muay Thai, Karate, Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Kenpo, and so on. I would specifically recommend Naruto only, and not Naruto Shippuden, mainly because, again, the first series, just when they're kids mainly, focuses a lot more on the fighting and craft of the fighting. When they're adults in Shippuden, it's a lot more fantastical and a lot more supernatural, but Naruto alone focuses a lot more on the gritty, like hand-to-hand combat, which for me, I personally dig a lot more. If you've never seen a single fight in Naruto, honestly, just go on YouTube and write. I'd personally recommend watching the Gaara versus Rock Lee fight. Basically like a sand ninja, like manipulator, a sandbender versus like this ninja, like inspired Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan archetype. Drunken drunken master kung fu is a clear inspiration in this fight, especially with this character. Rock Lee's my favorite character in the story, so you're gonna love it. Really cool weapon combat, amazing animation, amazing soundtrack. It's just a feel-good anime, I can't lie. The next series, it may be a bit of a deep cut, but I feel like the main character alone is a good enough representation and recommendation for mixed martial arts and MMA and Kung Fu specifically. Cowboy Bebop. It's not really a fighting anime. Cowboy Bebop is a Western sci-fi drama, and it follows the crew of the Bebop, who are like bounty hunters, space bounty hunters, trying to make a living off taking out bad guys and goons for a decent dollar. Spike Spiegel, however, is very much inspired by the likes of Bruce Lee and other like fun characters from Lupin the Third. He's a very, very goofy yet serious character at the same time. The opening scene himself, you just see him pretty much shadowboxing, training in the smoke, doing Wing Chun and Kung Fu Jeet Kune Do, fighting on his own. It has great hand-to-hand combat and beautiful Sakuga animation. In addition to gun kata as well, gun fu, a great combination of both. So if you're a fan of something like that, something like John Wick-esque, but like in space, Cowboy Bebop is completely down your alley. And the fourth recommendation for this episode is a anime and manga series called Tengo Tenge, aka The Battle of Heaven and Earth. This is a very, very unique one, a very underrated one, I must say. It's extremely violent. Tengo Tenge is basically about two delinquents who are extremely amazing at fighting, who arrive at Todo Academy, their new school, and it's basically pretty much them trying to establish their might and their strength and set a new foundation and premise at this school. However, they don't realize how many strong fighters there are at this school. So it pretty much just is about different school factions trying to scrap at each other. That's basically it. You absolutely love it. It's just school kids fighting each other, other school factions fighting each other. It's just everyone scrapping. Like, rather than concentrating on like, your classic subjects like maths, English, history, Todo Academy was created to specifically and solely revive martial arts in Japan. And it's one of them. It's extremely simple. It's just people scrapping all day in a school environment. So yeah, those are my recommendations for this episode. Please let me know down below what you guys think. What are your recommendations? Which animes have you seen or you want to check out? Also, if you're training in a martial art, please let me know what discipline you're in. With that said, thank you for watching. I shall see you guys next time, and peace. Shoo.